Going on, everyone?
Ah,
What's going on, everyone?
Hello,
Hey, internet.
hello, hello, internet. Hello, internet. Hello,
Hello,
internet.
internet. Hello, internet. Yeah, welcome back, guys, to another episode of Carbonite Bounty BS with me and the nerds here. And yeah, man, very, very exciting weeks we're leading up to, man. I think this may be the series. I'm saying. I think
This
this is
this may
this will
be
be the one.
this may
He's
be
calling
epic.
it.
This is going to be epic
Is
for the franchise.
this has to be right. It has to be for us,
The,
the
the new
franchise. I mean, this is
the
it.
newest
This is
trailer
all.
that dropped with the Anakin overlay. Come on.
Yeah, this is
it's
it, man. This
pretty
is it.
exciting.
But
It's a
yeah.
crucial one, right?
It's definitely exciting. Definitely, man. Definitely foreshadowing. So before we even dive into our Ahsoka preview and kind of our Rebels recap, let's let DP let you guys know where to find us at.
Nerdcyclopedia.com, people. We got fan fiction on the site, so make sure that you guys are going to check that out. We got some really good Star Wars fan fiction written by, we won't say who, but it's written by
the ghost, AI,
AI, the artificial intelligence. Anyway,
Skynet.
written by Skynet. Yep. Cyberdyne. Anyway,
Never credit him, and don't forget, this video is a public record of us on the internet. So when the machines are in charge, they'll remember.
Yep.
We credited ChatGPT.
Exactly.
We gave
That is all.
Take
End
us
of
out.
line.
We were with you from the very beginning. Make sure that you are checking us out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and also on TikTok. All our ads are at nerdcyclopedia.com. If you are listening to us on podcasts, we are on iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, anywhere that you listen to your favorite podcast, we are there. If you're watching us on YouTube, thank you. All right, appreciate you. Hit that subscribe button and also hit that notification button. So anytime that we're on, you know that we're on. Also, if you're watching us on Facebook, we are on thank you as well. Make sure you join our Facebook group, Carbonite Bounty BS, where we talk about all our great Star Wars stuff and our fan fiction. Hit us with a good email. So we like getting the good email and feedback from you guys. Nerds at nerdcyclopedia.com. Check us out, and when you're checking us out, let us know what you think.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of like I said, all roads led to this, right? This is like the penultimate kind of finale. I mean, really of the whole Filoni versus Vision, right? I mean, he's literally stepped away from series. This is really his baby. This is what all these years of being under George's wing, man. This is it, right? So very excited to really dive into what we think about this Ahsoka preview. I mean, run times are out for the first couple. Very impressive for the first two. Third one, it is what it is. But I'm just excited overall for the series. 8 is still a little tight, but hey, beggars can't be choosers, right? I'm just happy that we're getting it on time. I will say that. And kind of weird, right? Because I know Rosario Dawson's doing a little bit of kind of prop, and she's doing a little bit of kind of media stuff, and I didn't think they're allowed. So it's nice to see that they're trying to promote it to the best they can with everything going on in Hollywood and in the movie sphere and series sphere with all these streaming platforms and what the actors can and cannot say. So yeah, I mean, where do you guys want to start things off?
I mean, like you
I'm
said, it's been a long time coming.
I've been looking forward to what I'm psyched to hear is the opening theme. How is this going to tie in to the music that we are already accustomed to? Is it going to be a little bit of Mandalorian mixed with maybe Empire Strikes Back? I mean, there's a real because this whole storyline is going to be real dark. There's a lot of darkness to it, and it's kind of like Spy, like James Bond, because we're seeing the resurgence of a Jedi Order, which kind of had a detective feel to it. So, what's the music going to sound like? Like that's what I'm. But I think this series is going to be epic. In once, I think it's going to be so good. Everything I've seen and read about it, I think they're really going to hit it out of the park. I don't see any flaws with this going forward. Great characters we're going to see. Ones that we already are in love with through viewing Rebels and Clone Wars. And Anakin coming back in sort of a teacher mode. And I really got to hear so far in the previews, in the trailers, I've seen, I've heard him call her Ahsoka, but he never did. He always called her Snips, especially when she got out of hand. So there needs to be they gotta tie that back to Clone Wars for me.
Yeah. He never called her Ahsoka?
Sometimes,
Rarely.
but
Rarely.
mostly it was Snips.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, I'm interested in too and see how everything is formed as far as like, the theme, Dave Filoni is such a great writer. He's entertained us with with the Clone Wars and everything in the Rebel series and stuff, and the little tidbits with like Tales of the Jedi and stuff. I first and foremost, he's a writer, so I trust him in creating like a good crafted story. What I'm interested in seeing is how well he directs a show. We seen it pretty much with like Mandalorian. He got his feet wet with that and everything. Now this is his baby. Ahsoka is his baby. It's the character him and George created, and he doesn't want to do George wrong. Or let George down and everything. So this is the baby that they created that he's shepherding, out there. And when you say that you don't see a flaw in it and everything, it's one of those things where you hope that that the hype put upon this project and everything doesn't blow up in his face and everything. We were hyped with Obi-Wan, but I don't think the creators in the back of that probably didn't have the same passion. They had a passion for Star Wars because Star Wars, creators and fans and all of that stuff. But to have the creator of the product come and actually know his character and know his baby and know how to work it and know how, the nuances of it. It's I'm with you, Ken. I don't see as of right now. I don't see any way he can miss the basket on this one.
It's like Shaq dunking, right? Like this is not we're not asking you to do everything, right? It doesn't have to be a tomahawk. Just get it in there, bang. That's what we're looking for on this. We already had our revolutionary Star Wars TV of the year with Andor, and we got that, and that was something really unexpected and different. So if you just throw me a strike right down the middle of the plate with this, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for hijinks. I'm looking for you to pay off the. I feel like there is a Chekhov's what the hell is his name?
A Chekhov.
Oh man, I'm blanking on his name.
Balin?
No, man. The alien in the crew for the
Zeb.
Jeez,
Oh,
Zeb, yeah.
Woo! That was just gone.
They haven't showed Zeb in the trailers. That's crazy.
There's a Chekhov Zeb because he was in that other show. He was in Mandalorian. Right. So we know he's around. We know they have done the modeling. Right. So we know they've done the work. Now they just got to put it out there.
So what would you like to see him as? I was thinking the same thing, like as a costume or as a CGI Jar Jar Binks generated creature.
Jar Jar Binks was not. It was not.
Yeah, Jar Jar Binks.
CGI. That was not about the look. He looked like an alien. I've said many times that both the voice and the human, it seemed out of place. I don't know. Those were my problems with Jar Jar Binks. So it's not that he was CGI, and I think that that he looked good. I think we have Zeb look good.
Maybe we need a Jar Jar Binks series for you.
Oh, you mother!
Come on, yeah. Come on now. That's one thing I want to watch. That's about as like watching that Groot series. Come on now.
Oh boy. Yeah,
what if we had ChatGPT write the script to the Jar Jar Binks cartoon? Like, I wonder.
What if we had ChatGPT do the writing for Groot?
Yeah.
I don't even know. Groot over and over again.
Right. I don't even know what that is. Yeah. Honestly, no clue.
But they've really, so Zeb, we're aware that Zeb exists, right? They've done the CGI modeling for Zeb. Hera's going to be in this. You know, her kid is going to be in this. We're going to have, I mean, the whole crew's getting back together. So that's what I'm looking for here. I'm looking for hijinks. I'm looking for there to be a heist these guys are involved in. It seems very ill planned. They pull off basically because they have miraculous skills, right? That's what I'm looking for. And of course, Thrawn. So if they throw me a strike right down the middle of the plate here, I'm gonna be happy. I don't want to see don't do any pranking stuff. Don't try to misdirect us on this. You've written a lot of checks on this one particular series. It's time to just spend 8 episodes cashing checks. Just cash it, cash it, cash
7 or 8 episodes.
It's 8. I believe it's 8.
Cool.
I will say though, based on some of the information I've given, they're rewriting a little bit of characterization, a couple of main characters. So nothing major, but they're tweaking some things about characters. So, like I said, George is somewhat involved as far as kind of like just giving his blessing, and he kind of shared ideas. But there will be some changes from what we saw in Rebels to even the original prequels. I mean, the fact that they're bringing Anakin in, I believe there probably will be some reshot scenes. So from what we've seen, I mean, like I mean, we've already said this, right? They're going to retcon things. They're going to clean things up. So this may upset some of the hardcore, like more rigid Star Wars fans, but we've all called for this. So any course correction that does happen, I'm on board for, because a lot of people complain about the original prequels, sequel trilogies, how things lined up. So I know that there probably will be a little bit more retconning, especially with Anakin's training towards Ahsoka and a little bit of his characterization. But I'm all for this. Like I said, I'm going in this with an open mind. And the cool thing is DPU and Ken even said is he can't miss this because these are new characters. There really isn't lure. There's no extended universe with Ahsoka. This is literally a character they created. Balin, all these other Dark Jedi, these characters are all new. So it's hard for people to really criticize something like this because there's nowhere to go from, right? You can criticize
unless you watched Rebels and Clone Wars.
But even then, those characters, like the Balins and things we're talking about in this, they're not even in it. So
no. But Ahsoka is.
Yeah.
And, if you never watched Clone Wars, you wouldn't even know that this character existed.
Right.
So it brings me to a question, Ken, and I'm glad you brought that up. And this probably may be a question for you too, Steel City. You guys are you guys were brought in for being like the original film, film viewers.
Historians.
Yeah, film, well, not so much historians, but more or less on the side of the films and not really so much with the animated stuff in the lore and everything. So with this being more of a new character instead of like a legacy character, if you could sort of take like your take yourselves out of the realm of looking at it as okay, well, I'm more take it to like the Star Wars heads that are more film side and not even animated side, and give a little bit of your perspective on how it is seeing like this new character, focus, new character. We saw like with the Mandalorian, but we got like the tidbits in history from like Boba Fett. Now we're seeing like a brand new Ahsoka, a brand new character in live action form. How are we feeling about that? How are we? Just give me a little bit of perspective.
Well, I mean, I'll say this: that after actually watching the cartoons, I've definitely won over to, the side that wants to see more of this content with this character, right? And you're right. When we started or watched the Clone Wars, I was not super excited about it. I really wasn't. I wasn't sure if we were gonna do it, and it kind of won me over, for sure. So, as someone who has been in Star Wars into Star Wars a long time, and wasn't super impressed with how they did Boba Fett and how they did Obi-Wan, who are legacy characters, I got to say that I'm much more optimistic about what they're going to do with this group. And maybe you're right. It's because I'm not nostalgic for Ahsoka. Like, this is a character that, was 15. It's like basically 15 years ago now, like today, that movie came out, and she was minted, right? That's when she came out. So for me, I'm older now. I was an adult then, and it was after, maybe was coming to terms with my opinions of the prequel trilogy. So it was probably something that came out when I was at my lowest point, maybe, of Star Wars fandom. I mean, that's the truth. So for me, it's
Right.
exciting. It's exciting to see it come to fruition. But there's probably a pretty good generation of people that didn't stick with Star Wars enough to have watched those cartoons, and have not committed to going back and doing that may feel differently. But that's probably because they just were turned off already before Clone Wars came out, and Clone Wars was not targeted toward a 25-year-old man, right? Like, it just wasn't. It was for kids. So, at that point in my life, I wasn't going to go see like a rated G or rated PG movie in the movie theaters, right? Like, I just was never going to do that. So
I think it got more mature as it went along. The series went along. It
that's true.
Immature.
But if you think about it, it was a Star Wars movie, right? It was like the seventh Star Wars movie, because it did get a theatrical release. So I don't know. To me, there's a really grand opportunity that exists to take what the Clone Wars and Rebels did, which is to tie the prequel trilogies together, right? To tie those movies together in a way that made the plot make sense, and bring it to the mass audience that Disney has in a situation where nobody else has content to release. Like, CBS is going to stretch Big Brother out for like 6 months this year. It's like ridiculous. They're like, we'll see you on Thanksgiving, kids. Like, you guys are gone. So, because of the strikes, I think Disney knows it as a captive audience, and it sure seems like they're going to deliver on a couple things that they seem primed to deliver on. One is a much more democratic view of the Force and Force potential, which is very interesting, because I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Did you guys get the impression that Sabine was Force sensitive during Rebels?
No.
Like significantly?
There was no she was more of a Mandalorian warrior, right? I mean, and she kind of like got her ass kicked a little bit, so she was more prone, like error prone, and more like a Mandalorian, like a youngling, foundling, right? She was really kind of
She
taking
didn't have the proper training.
No,
She didn't have anyone
she was super bra and everything.
Yeah.
So she could be like a mainline regular Jedi. Like, she's not going to be Luke Skywalker or Rey ripping blowing up a spaceship or anything like that. But she can be like the FBI Jedi, go investigate a crime and come
You're
back.
right, and that's something that I think that we need to see, of just like you're saying, competent Force users. Not everybody has to be, have a power scale of 999,000, right? It's okay to be just competent with a lightsaber.
There has to be the regular guy.
Yeah.
It has to be and that's what I like about this character, Ahsoka. And reason that it works for me is I do appreciate the prequel trilogy. I think as I go back and watch it periodically, I think it's a pretty good thought out way to sort of show where things started, how things got to where we knew they would. What I always thought was missing was Anakin never had that partnership or a Padawan, or we knew Obi-Wan did. We knew that all Jedi Masters, Jedi in general, Jedi Knights had a Padawan, and knowing now that Ahsoka was Anakin's Padawan, and pretty concrete. Like, you watch that Clone Wars series, it's solid. It's a great story. It's a great relationship. It has turmoil. It has positive vibe. You see Ahsoka learning from Anakin. You see Anakin, coaching her, correcting her, being a pretty good, like a role model, not quite like a parent, but a teacher, student. And to see that up on the screen, because that's what I need as a fan of the films. I need things on a screen. I need like actors playing these characters.
Yeah.
Animation's cool, and like we talked about watching Clone Wars, watching Bad Batch and Rebels, the animation is sick. It's sick. They've gotten to the point where we think we're watching a live movie. Now this character that was a cartoon is now up on a screen. It's my TV or my phone, whatever. It's up on the screen, and it's part of my Star Wars world. So, and the idea the idea that they're putting Hayden Christensen in, like he's part of it. The OG Anakin Skywalker now, like the one that we all know is Anakin Skywalker, is part of this, and might make an appearance. We don't know yet. We don't really know. He might be just a thought, like in her memory, or he might be just an overlay on a scene, but he might make an appearance. Who knows? Hologram.
It's a pretty novel idea what they're doing with Ahsoka, bringing a animated character, and doing an actual series, a live action series, for an animated character, in the same story, storyline. So this is not like a spinoff of a
right
of a world or whatever.
We're not talking about the Christmas special here.
No, this is actual series where we're getting like a live action animated, that started out and beloved in animated form, and just now, like Hitch was saying, 15 years ago, the character was created, and just now starting its own live action series, the character is maintaining its popularity. So I think that's just pretty unique itself with what they're trying to bring to the screen there.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely bring up a big point about, as far as the risks they're taking, taking basically a series that we kind of said it, right? When we saw the end of Rebels, like this can go to live action, right? This can go to movie format. I mean, literally they've taken a cartoon series and put it, and if you think about, everything we've seen growing up, even, I've seen like the last couple years, maybe like they did the Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, like they've all tried some kind of iteration of taking a cartoon series and making it live action, to where you wouldn't even tell that this was born off a cartoon series, right? The way this is written, I mean, in the styling of this, literally would just be like a character that's always been in the lore. And I like how we discussed, like, with everything they're doing, it just fits in. Like the fact that Hit said she's 15 years old. If you told somebody when this come on, like, this character's only 15 years old, I don't think anybody would ever know.
Right.
There's just, and Ken's a big stickler for this, but the music, the worlds, the sets, like this is going to just, I'm just so excited, honestly, for like what this is going to deliver, because it's going to give us that Jedi vibe, but also that like original, Shaolin kind of ninja, that gritty Ronin type story that I don't think that's ever been told other than that one episode of The Mandalorian.
Right.
And I hope they drop us into the story as it's happening. So that is a canon Star Wars element. Every film that it starts, you're in the middle of it. Like it's already started. The story is in the middle, and you're like trying to figure out like what's going on. We had A New Hope, 2 spaceships shooting at each other. Like, what's going on? Like, we don't know. Empire Strikes Back. We had a Star Destroyer shooting probe droids out into the, we had this, like, it was already in place. Like, the story was already happening. There wasn't like, we didn't have to learn anything. So I hope they go that way with this series. Like, we just get dropped in the middle of a battle of some sort.
Yeah.
Something big. Like, that would be intense. And maybe bring back the crawl. Bring back the opening crawl into this.
Seen a crawl in a minute. Yeah.
Either do that or do a 1980s like action like style opening, like the A-Team, or that's what I want to see.
Ooh.
Just drop right into the episode. Yeah. Putting my producer hat on, and I know DP usually talks about a lot of this, but like the one thing I do want to see, hopefully in this series, is, and they did it on the one Mandalorian episode with Ahsoka, but just more unique camera angles during the fights, right? Because like no more of this like Mortal Kombat linear fighting style. Like I like how you kind of got behind the fighters, right? Behind the action and the because a lot of the Shaolin and a lot of the Ronin movies, you're kind of first person. So hopefully these battles, these fights, because I saw a couple of them are linear, but hopefully they get more creative. And even Hollywood moving forward, I'd like to see more creative work during action scenes with fights because it's always linear like a Mortal Kombat or like a video game format.
T Mitch, I'm 100%. In fact, that's what I was thinking. Like, Filoni, you're in charge of this, you're show running, you're probably gonna have like different directors doing like,
Right.
some of the series and everything. Hopefully it's not the same old, okay, the same old formula stuff. The
Right.
formula
Yeah.
stuff is sort of there for, I guess, the casuals to keep everything like, to keep everything just simple. When we really want something more unique, something more speaks to the character, speaks to a style instead of getting the same old cookie cutter stuff, which I think what failed with like Obi-Wan and a couple of the other series, especially like a lot of the Marvel series stuff, it just the same old stuff with different characters, the same style. You don't want to really see that. You want to see those different unique camera angles, slower pace. What we didn't see with Andor was a well directed series.
Right.
Gilroy and they had their directors take some shots, and I was very impressed. I don't want to go back to Mandalorian style, even though Mandalorian is okay and everything, but going from that to Andor, and then if we come back to that, I'm like, okay, you've been in this long enough, Filoni. You should be a little bit more creative right now.
I mean, just even talking about the Obi-Wan series, that unique fight they had with Obi-Wan and Anakin, like I'm thinking like technology wise, they have so much stuff. I could have shot that better, that scene with a what is it, a GoPro, DJI Osmo hand gimbal, right? Because you just walk around the fight a little bit, or use a drone and give us an aerial view. Like I just feel like there's so much more simple things you can do to make a fight that much more spectacular.
The best battle I don't know. I might get bashed from the internet on this, but the best fight in any Star Wars movie is Obi-Wan and Anakin, but in Revenge of the Sith. That by far, that sequence where they're fighting on Mustafar is the greatest. Long. It's long, and it goes to multiple environments. I just think it's a great. Well shot. The camera angles were great when they pulled back and you saw Obi-Wan, blocking Anakin's saber, and there was that few seconds where they're staring at each other. I mean, I thought that fight scene was epic.
If I remember,
everything I've seen, even the Rey, the battle with Rey and Kylo Ren.
Right.
Which had emotion, and yes, it was emotional, and there was a lot of great saber effects, and I liked the way the blade kind of, I don't know, it pulsed. It was a different effect. I liked that when they clashed. You really got the idea that you had two energy sources conflicting with each other. I mean, it was a very, very organic thing. But I think the fierceness and the way they shot those scenes with Obi-Wan and Anakin in that film were just epic. And I didn't have any real problem with the Obi-Wan series fight. I thought there was a lot of emotion and impact there too.
Was a good
you're
one,
right, Mitch. They could have used better technology. They could have used something that made more sense. A drone would be cool, or like you said, just walk around with a gimbal. Oh, yeah. Special guest.
Special guest.
Special guest.
Can you say hi, Georgie? Okay.
Georgia, press the button that cuts off the live stream.
Our young Padawan.
Yeah, that's our young Padawan right there.
We did have a young Padawan. But no, I mean you're right, Ken. I don't know. It's just that, and that's just maybe me being nitpicky, but not really, right? Because I just think we've been so far, and even this when you see these guys shooting films off of an iPhone, like literally with a DJI Osmo hand gimbal, like I just feel like it's a little more creative. I mean, you're seeing people shoot videos, guys rollerblading alongside scenes and whatnot. So I just think like in the film industry, like it can get just a little more creative with things. I just and it's not really the whole thing. It's just the scenes, right? The battle scenes.
Yeah.
I want to see just different perspective other than a linear fight and every now and then a little
I like
angle
your
turn.
Mortal Kombat
It
reference.
is. It's just like it's just too like linear for me. I just want more like more of the world. They did that on episode. I think was it episode 7 when Ray was in the forest. They kind of showed a little bit more of the scenery, but
Mhm.
the fights just
Yeah.
seemed like linear and the CGI background and just like here we
Yeah,
go.
I think it gets lazy when they depend too much on the CGI
Right.
background to lay out the
Yeah.
scene and stuff. And also the Manhattan Beach studio, while that was fine in the beginning with like during pandemic with Mandalorians, like, oh, they can do these backgrounds without actually having to go to the
Yeah.
desert or whatever. I think it's been an over reliance on that. I don't know if it's because of cost or whatever, but I
Right.
want to see more. I want to see more natural, scenery.
Yeah.
Just natural environments, when if you're doing those type shots and stuff. I think it really lends itself to the overall feel and the passion and the soul of like, the scene and the story when
Yeah.
you do that.
So here's what we should do. Go back, get yourself a VHS copy of A New Hope.
A VHS.
Okay.
From 97?
And watch the fight scenes. Because when
My-
these things came out, I was blown away. I thought this was the greatest thing I'd ever seen in my life.
I don't think my TVs can down convert to watching VHS. To be honest.
Go
'Cause
on
usually you have
eBay,
to
get
up
yourself a
convert.
VCR, and
You need a combo.
I'll loan you the VHS that you can watch.
No, I mean I might need one of those old combo TVs. My new TVs won't.
Yo,
That'll look
I
crazy.
got 2 VCRs right over here, so we're covered. Like you need a VCR. I got
Yeah.
2 VCRs right there.
I mean,
So-
think about
Not
it.
throwing
I don't even.
away.
I don't even think my TV has AV cords on it. Right? Do you remember the green?
Oh yeah, right.
I
Yeah.
don't even think they have those anymore. So literally, it'd be crazy.
Amazon.
So look, I could theoretically. Well, I wouldn't say what I would actually do on the internet live for Disney to see and hear about. But I'm just saying arrangements can be made to
Oh, of
have
course.
to
I
have
remember
these
those
things
days.
converted.
I remember those days.
Arrangements can be made.
Yeah.
You got to watch the original fight between Obi-Wan and Anakin in a very sterile Death Star corridor, and on the big screen, this thing looked great. It was like amazing. We had emotion. They were fierce. We knew they hated each other. The fight was epic. So now we're saying, oh, we want more. Well, because now the advances that the Father gave us from that point on brought us to this point. Now we want more. We're like spoiled.
Well, you know what it is, honestly, and it's sad to say, and we talked about this on our other show, Nerd Comic Psycho Flick show, but the fight scenes in Mortal Kombat were more non-linear. The Mortal Kombat movie we talked about months ago, right? The way
Yeah.
that was shot is the way I want to see the Star Wars fights because there was interactivity with the world, everything. So I
Do you
just feel like
the first person perspective?
a little bit,
Yeah, I mean, just mix it up.
a little
Mix
bit,
it up.
yeah. Just mix
Yeah.
up the scenes.
Mix it up. Don't let it just be a stale old fight scene or whatever. I'm
It
thinking.
is.
I don't know why I keep thinking that that fight scene. Was it from the Phantom Menace with Obi-Wan and
Maul.
Obi-Wan and Maul and
After Qui-Gon's been run through.
Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan. Yeah,
Yeah.
Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan and Darth Maul. I thought that was a pretty decent fight scene with them.
Yeah,
That was the first triple
right.
lightsaber battle
It
ever.
was real cool until like Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon optionally separated for no
That's
reason
right.
to take that guy on one at a time when they couldn't take him together. which seems
That made no
really
sense.
dumb.
Yeah,
Because
that made no
because they
sense.
were standing at those gates and they could have run to each other first and then gone back easily, right?
Yeah, I didn't get the whole meditation and the whole like I'm stuck in a gate. Like, okay, whoops,
maybe
I can't get out of this laser gate.
maybe George didn't think that through thoroughly.
Nah.
And that's something else to think of. That scene, maybe that's my favorite. I don't know, because that's the first time we've seen 3
I don't know.
lightsaber wielding.
Ray Park
Fighters.
was sick, but
Yeah.
I just think based on the stuff I'm saying, especially with that Inquisitor blade,
Yeah.
my gosh, man, this is gonna be crazy. That just crazy to me. Like,
These 2 episodes when they drop, I mean, there's going
Yeah.
to be a lot of expectation here
Oh yeah,
for
yeah,
this.
yeah.
So
So
it better be good.
none of our bosses expect us to be at work next Wednesday. I'll tell you right now.
I'll say this: I'm actually staying up. I've been falling asleep lately and getting good
man,
rest.
you're
I'm
back
pretty
to
sure I'm
your-
going to
back
watch
to
it
your
when it's
2
up.
a.m.,
What's
2
it like,
p.m.
5
and
a.m.?
everything.
It's 3. I'll be up at 3. But
Yeah, I know you weren't up at 3 a.m. watching Secret Invasion.
Oh,
So
come on now. Come on now. I'm not gonna waste my sleep. I'm not gonna waste my eyes on that. Let's just say that. Right? But hey, maybe they
Is it
might.
3 a.m.? Is that when it drops?
It's 3, but didn't they surprise us? What was that a series ago? A couple. They dropped it at midnight. I think it was an accidental drop, but something came out early. Was it Andor?
Andor, I don't know. I can't remember.
Something dropped early, and we were
It
able
was
to
like
watch it.
it was like at midnight instead of 3.
Yeah, they dropped. They did
I remember
it wrong.
that. I remember that happening. I remember being sad that I didn't even try. Oh,
Yeah.
and then I was like, oh yeah, I have a toddler.
Yeah.
I remember Amazon used to just lie to us about The Boys. It was supposed to drop the Thursday, dropping Wednesday or whatever. Just straight lie. At 8:00 in the evening.
Yeah, you just sent me a text and go, "Hey, The Boys is on."
They just didn't care what time or whatever, just straight lie. But yeah, I mean, accidental drops. I mean, I'm never mad at that.
No. I mean, we got a lot of content. Like I said, I believe the first runtime for episode 1 outside of trailers is like 51 minutes, which is crazy. And then the second episode is going to be around 41. So think about that. That's damn near a movie. It's
90
crazy.
minutes is a gentleman's 2 hours for a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't complain with that. Episode 3, I think, is like around 31. And that'll probably be leading up to, kind of like our mid-season finale, so to speak. So because there's usually like 3 and 4 that kind of that big kind of cliffhanger that's going to lead us.
Just give us a good story. I mean, that's the thing. When we watch these shows and everything, especially when we watch the genre content and everything, we want good stories. It's we think it's easy, but it's not. Especially when you have corporate hands involved and stuff. When you get some of the side stuff, like your Foundation, like Silo was super good. When you get like C or whatever, I'm naming all Apple shows and stuff. When you get like those genre shows that aren't tied corporately, where they need to sell toys or other products or whatever, you get a lot more, passion and what I want to say, you get a little bit more soul into like the stuff. When you get to these like IP corporate, Star Wars, Marvel, and everything, it becomes, you get the story and then you get the hands involved that need to still market and sell and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it sort of gets diluted. Of course, it gets diluted. It's just the Disney template. They got to put their hands in to keep the coffers coming. Keep money in the coffers and stuff. So.
Yeah, I just hope, and we say this every time, but for this, please don't do the filler episode. Just keep it, you know what I mean? Like,
if you're doing 8 episodes, there is no filler.
Well,
It seems to be the sweet spot, right?
We've said that, but then we've seen previously in 2 other shows
that they did 1 or 2 fillers that was like
2 fillers, and you're sitting there like
had nothing to do with the story. They just
You know, I don't need to see Lizzo. I don't need to see Jack Black. Like, just give me what I need, please. That's what we were asking. I
What if
don't
we get
need
to
it,
episode 4 and they're like, look at these Power Rangers. Check these
right?
guys out.
You know, like
They're
so
different
me. I don't
colors. They
need a
got different matching motorcycles and
Boba Fett
cybernetic
was just not
implants.
great. Oh my goodness! And I'm thinking of Obi-Wan. I think if I watch that again, I think I will look at it in hindsight better than I did when I watched it. I don't think the same way with Boba. I don't think so.
Boba was just like a mess.
But the
It was a
Mandalorian
mess.
parts are all right. So
Yeah.
but that's where that lives. Like you can't subtract that out of it and say, oh, they actually made it. What they really should have done is like a season of Mandalorian there. But you remember the pandemic kind of messed that up too. I feel like you're right. They really messed up the Boba Fett character because he's not. I mean, what is he like? What was he supposed to be like? Just the sheriff of that town?
He's basically Grief Carcass, right?
Yeah, but was that Jabba's job? Was that what Jabba like? That's
No,
like
like
Jabba the Hutt was not that guy. So if he's in Jabba's chair, that's not the job that we should expect to
right.
come with that chair, right? Number one.
Yeah.
Number two, he was acting like some cutthroat bounty hunter that would shoot you, and cut off your head and take it like Mando acts, right?
Right.
He should at least be that level of ruthless, and he simply wasn't.
But he had a soft spot. There was a, and I think he was calm.
I'm not disputing that. That's what
I think that was because of the Tusken Raider training that he got, because they were a very calm people.
I was
Ken, I think you're being diplomatic again.
Well, wait.
We need to bring you back to your episode 8 review.
Look.
You're being diplomatic again.
Do you see this?
Keep in mind, we wasted 25 minutes of him in the back to tank.
Oh my god! Don't even.
It's
let's be honest.
Mandalorian, but it's Boba Fett from the Book of Boba Fett. So they are trying to get rid of the Book of Boba Fett. You see that?
Yeah,
that's very true.
Well, he technically first appeared in live action. Well, without his helmet and everything in Mandalorian, So,
but that's not where the story comes from. That's not where it lives, though. So they do understand that none of us really appreciated the Book of Boba Fett as we should have.
They should have just kept him as a bad guy and went from there and cut out all the Mandalorian stuff. Just kept him as a bad guy, kept the story
and kept it separate.
But they could have given him a huge part, and this is the thing that's so frustrating is if they hadn't done that, they could have just given him a huge part in the Return to Mandalore, and it would have been cool. They could have they could have done that anyway. They could have still done that after they put that out, and they didn't. They decided not even to bother him. Like that's what's infuriating about it.
I thought they would redeem him in the whole Mandalorian thing. Like
they didn't even go get him. Like that's the thing is like Boba Fett became so worthless that they needed a posse of the baddest ass Mandalorians, and nobody called him.
Include Boba Fett.
They didn't even call him. He wasn't even an alternate.
Yeah.
They were like, we need every single body we can get, and they don't even call him.
Your boy.
What about Fennec though? She's like some revered assassin who's just like walking around like Barney Fife, like literally.
Well, I'm gonna have to send you to Tatooine jail now.
Literally, I mean,
but
come on.
That's corporate for you because it makes sense for the story to still have them involved with the story, even though their series didn't necessarily do that great. You can still redeem the characters by writing them in sensible places. For Boba Fett not to be involved, period. That's just like Hit said. That's like asinine and stuff.
It's like if you made USA Basketball and nobody called LeBron, even to call him. Like they didn't even call him up and say, "Hey, we're having a camp in Colorado." They didn't say nothing to him. We'd all be like, "That's weird." Even though he's old, he's getting older, right? Like he's 38, 39. Yeah. We'd still be like, "That's weird," because he's definitely got to be on the list of dudes you call, right?
At least.
Now, like 5 years from now, he's drinking wine every day,
or it's just getting old and everything. You still got to make the effort and everything.
Right.
The corporate hand said none of that worked in that series, so we're not going to have any of that carry over into Mandalorian.
No.
I mean, this guy's literally the genetic template that the government of the galaxy looked at and said, "This is the perfect genetic template for a soldier," right? Yeah. And they did not look at him and say, this is the perfect genetic template for the sheriff of a small town on a backwards planet with no water. That's
Well,
not
it was really his dad, right?
well, but he's
Django.
he's an exact clone. So
Yeah.
it's the same box. He's coming in the same box.
Well, you remember the Adam Sandler thing? No, not Adam Sandler. Who the hell was it? You make a copy of a copy, and the copy isn't quite as good as the original, and then a
That's
copy
Michael
of
Keaton.
Is that Adam? Who is that?
Multiplicity.
Michael
That's Michael
Keaton.
Keaton.
Isn't it? Yeah, Michael Keaton. Sorry, from McKee's Rocks. What do I know? But
Montour's best.
so Django was the original OG clone trooper.
Right.
His son is one DNA strand off from perfection.
No, he's not. He's exactly the same. Exactly the same.
Exactly.
Well,
That's
then
what they
we find
said.
out.
Completely unaltered clone was one of the terms of
Yeah.
his. I mean, sure, yes. Could the Kaminoans have backstab Django Fett on this deal?
Fett,
I guess.
You think they would? You think
It's a very dangerous idea to do something like that he could maybe find out about while he's the most cutthroat and murderous bounty hunter. I don't know. I wouldn't want to court that. And look, you always want to pay your mercenaries. The Carthaginians knew that. They found out the hard way.
Oh, history.
Yeah. All right. The wider parts, even like we talk about that. There's no mention of the Bad Batch in any of this. No Omega. Like Omega's like a big new character, a big female heroine. Like how does that not tie in at all?
And she ends up being his sister.
Correct. Like how does that not tie in? And we're talking about cloning in this new series. Like, so are we just going to like curb them all? I mean, literally. I mean, I know we have another season of that coming up. Who knows when? But
But
I mean,
I think when they feel they have to bring those things up, they feel that that's not enough space to explain it to like the casuals or whatever.
but there is. If we don't have to,
be able to do it. So yeah, there is. But
we don't have to do 8. We didn't have to have a Lizzo episode. We could have literally tied them in.
Yeah.
Think about it. They killed a whole episode. They could have described like he had a long lost sister. Like they really could have tied it in more to the family.
Had Lizzo explaining about it.
So if corporate hands are going to get into it, okay, put such and such an episode, like Hit said, be creative about it.
But the thing is, I'm sure she didn't have a free appearance fee, right? So was it really worth paying her to be on that show?
I don't know.
You know what I mean? Like,
Jack Black, I understand. He's probably the biggest fan in history. Like he's probably the biggest Star Wars fan that ever has lived. Jack Black. I mean, he's been in every documentary that I've ever seen on Star Wars. So to have him in Star Wars is epic. Lizzo, I don't know where that came from.
But keep in mind, we needed 45 minutes just for them to figure out that the fleet was sitting outside, and she had to go battle him to say, "Hey, get your ass together and let's go."
Sure, why not? It took them that long to figure out the weakness of the Death Star and how they were going to launch that offensive in A New Hope.
So think about it. The first thing they did was obviously get all the Mandalorians that were easiest to get, right? And then they went to this place and went through all this BS, and they have Boba Fett's number. Like Din has his number, and there would have been no barrier to reaching out, and they didn't do it. That seems kind of weird to me.
No, they didn't.
Even when Din was in trouble, I think that would be the first person they would go for, right? Outside of Bo-Katan would be Boba Fett, because
he's making a lot of friends though. Like Grief's got some juice, Bo-Katan, like he's got multiple planet running friends, like multiple friends that run planets at this point, which is kind of weird and funny. Like you make friends with him and you get to be in charge of the planet. It's weird.
So are we going to see a Book of Boba Fett episode?
I think that's done.
I don't know.
Tomorrow
Morrison. No. I wouldn't even. No. You don't put money back into a sinker. Now, if you want to make a one-off, like a Wolf of Were Night. What is it called? T-Mitch? Wolf of Night or whatever. Yeah. You could do that, but don't make another series.
Make me a Boba Fett anime OVA. Let Morrison do the voice. It'll be great. It'll be great. Just him going out and just acting like a bounty hunter exactly the way we want. Again, I'm talking straight down the pipe, right on the middle of the plate. You just throw me that pitch. I want that pitch.
I mean, to Hitch's point, I'm frankly surprised they haven't done more animated, like besides Tales of the Jedi and Visions and stuff. I'm surprised they really haven't done more animated Star Wars tales and stuff.
I think we'll see that when we get rid of this. I mean, well, it depends, right? Because this episode, whatever, 10, 11, 12, and these other movies coming out, and the High Republic era kind of like got brushed under the carpet. That was supposed to be like the next thing. Like, we're done with Star Wars. We're done with this. We're done with the Skywalker saga. Then we hear the Skywalker saga is now back on. Rey's back. The other day, once again, John Boyega's.
How are you
John
not going to do
Boyega's now
a Rey
back.
series? Like, how can you not do a Rey animated series? Like,
That should have been the first thing that they did, was clean that character up and just do, like we're saying, a Rey animated series.
Disney
with
got so
everyone.
disillusioned with Rise of Skywalker, even though it made tons of money and everything, like the biggest, gross and whatever. But so your takeaway from that, based on the fans, is that okay, that movie bombed, bombed and everything. But we still don't get like some sort of like just animated series, either with Poe, Rey, or Kylo or whatever.
I mean, it's coming, but not in. I don't know. I mean, but obviously these cuts are going on, and I just read today that allegedly Bob Iger's stepping into the whole strike, and has a vow to fix things. I mean, granted, he does have two of the largest properties and studios, so he kind of does have a little pull in this strike. But yeah, like, just do a race series. We don't have to do this episode 10 in the new Jedi Academy. We've done that on the video games. We've played Jedi Out. We've seen how this story ends, right? Just give her a limited series, 8 episodes, Disney Plus. This is Rey after episode 9, and call it a day. Don't waste money, because what's a movie now, Hitch? We talked about it, damn near $1 billion,
I mean, the cost alone.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, and the problem is the last couple theatrical releases have not done super duper well. Like not episode 1, 2, 3. Not those sorts of numbers, right? So it's not a sure thing that you're going to make your money back, and there's not a proven. I mean, like Solo.
It's just in general, yeah. I mean, yeah.
But that's also word of mouth. I mean, the quality on Solo is all right. Like Rogue One did well and was great.
Yeah,
right?
Rogue One was much better than Solo.
Yeah. Solo came out at the wrong time. Yeah. And in hindsight, I mean, you just browse the internet. People say that Solo was much better film than what people gave credit for back then.
Solo is about to have what's about to happen with that movie is artificial intelligence is going to make it really cheap to just slap Harrison Ford's face on that performance and actually give it a real reading, because I don't think until you do that, it's not fair to judge. And again, this is nothing against the performance, Eric's performance. It was fine. He did a good job and I liked it. But the thing is, Han Solo's Harrison Ford. That's just like Indiana Jones. Like, you don't replace him like that. You just really can't do it.
And we have to say real quick, Dial of Destiny, excellent film. I mean, very well done. The Harrison Ford parts where they did the flashback. I mean, I love that movie.
Hey, teammates, he's in the bag for Lucasfilm.
He is. Come on, Ken. Ken, remember this. You said this about episode. You said this about.
Did you see it? Did you go see it?
I wasted my time.
Okay, Steel City. Did you see it?
No, I did not.
DP, there's a reason. There's a good reason.
I did not see it. I did not.
Okay.
Don't wait for it to come on.
It was a well done film. They tied in the right characters. They brought Sally back. They brought Marion back. They were great. The story, it tied back to the first film, and it really ended well. It ended. There's going to be another one. I mean,
of course, and Harrison's not going to be in it. This is like, did you guys see the last Jurassic Park?
Yes.
Yeah.
Just like that. Let's bring the band back together again, and let's just make it bomb at the end.
Yeah.
Cool. There's your summary of Dial of Destiny.
Thanks.
But
anyway, so
didn't you love the way he went back? He met Aristotle, right?
I thought it was a decent movie, but I mean, it's just like it's this whole Disney thing. We talk about it weekend. I do at least. Like, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if I mean, the writer strike's going on, but maybe they just got pissed and they start writing shit, right? Because like the last 2 years of movies have been like just crap.
Maybe
I'm
they
just
have
being
people like
honest.
us writing the
We'll
films now
see.
because we're
It's
not
been crap.
union.
No, Ahsoka will be the. I mean, but then again, like I said, we had Andor, right? It was phenomenal. So I don't know what's going on in the movie film side wise. I know streaming wise, I mean, there's a lot of content, a lot of newer writers doing good things. So,
Ironically, what you say, Andor, that's probably like their lowest rated,
which
lowest
is crazy. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
watch
crazy.
which
series. Yeah.
Andor
Yeah,
was great because
Doesn't
it
make
made
any
me
sense.
watch Rogue One every single night. And
true.
Rogue One is a really great film. Like it's really well
It is.
done. There isn't a bad moment in that film. There isn't a moment where I could say, yeah, Galen's performance really sucked. Like this part of the story was like ass. I just don't have anything bad to say about Rogue One, except for the end where I get it, but I wish it I wish it would let us move on, but
Yeah,
Andor was great, and you could tell it was great
of
because every
course.
time it switched setting, you were excited. Like regardless, you were just excited that you were seeing something else. You didn't even care what they were
Right.
switching to because it was all
right.
good.
Yep.
All right,
Well
that's
done.
my piece on. That's my piece on Andor.
Yeah, yeah. But now finishing up this week, I mean, obviously we really didn't get into much of our Rebels kind of preview because
We
it
did.
really is just a
We
continuation,
talked
right?
about it.
We did. We kind of tied it in a little bit, but I mean, it kind of wrapping things up. There is a little murmur as we discuss kind of all things Star Wars leading up to this and the excitement that Mando season 4 actually may get turned into a movie. So I don't know if you guys heard of that. It's something they're looking at, maybe just doing a movie and leading that into the Thrawn movie. But yeah, there's a lot of shifting things. Obviously, we know with Disney Plus not doing so hot because of certain previous regimes lying about numbers. So Disney has to kind of backtrack on their budgets and things. So that'll affect some streaming services. So the Andor season 4 might, or excuse me, Mandalorian season 4 may be turned into a movie leading up to the big kind of Thrawn release, whatever that may be, a theatrical release or a series. So that's kind of the final news and notes I kind of got, and that's kind of loose still. So, um, other than that, stellar episode again, guys. Super happy to be back.
Hey, T. Mitch,
Yo,
let's do Nerdcyclopedia Theater real quick before we leave.
for sure.
I will play Mando. You can play Boca Raton, and you can ask me if I'm going to call Boba Fett, and we'll do a scene from season 4 of The Mandalorian.
Din, have you thought about calling Boba Fett?
No.
I mean, that's really what it'd be.
Wow.
And then we have
The
Grogu
way
on your
you
shoulder.
delivered that line.
Thanks.
I know that was like Oscar worthy. I mean, it makes us want to have the strike people just not strike anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, that is our thing.
It is. Appreciate it. But yeah, guys. Leading into next week, we will definitely let you guys know when we're going live. We make it a little earlier because of just the sheer content. I mean, we're getting basically a movie. We're going to try to wrap up, and with the episodes, there's typically so
And
much
as
in
soon
it.
as I watch it, I'm going to put everything into our chat.
For sure, for sure. So turn your phones off. But uh, definitely excited.
That's mean. That's just mean, Ken.
Everything. I'm going to put the entire story there.
No. Oh.
Just
Who-
It's going to be up
mute the
fired
group
first?
chat.
I don't think that's the thing though. I love that T. Mitch is just like not rattled by that at all. It's like good luck beating me to the punch.
I'll be up. I know I'll be up. I'll be up. So excited. But yeah, guys. Until next week. This is the way.
This is the way.
Just the way.